Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. Here we are on December 28th, Friday night. I hope everybody had an awesome Christmas and are looking forward to their new year of 2019 coming up here in just a few days. We're going to be talking about quite a few things here tonight, as well as the blue skies. Are they a blue skies for a clown op? Was it some type of blue sky alien thing? Was it just a transformer blowing out? Was it some type of white hat or black hat attempt? We're going to go talk about all that here in a second, as well as an incredible amount of things going on behind the scenes that we will get into in detail as well. This is the Blessed to Teach show on December 28th. And I haven't seen anybody come on chat yet, so it means the notifications probably didn't go out like normal, which would be a bum deal. But we'll just keep on rolling here and hope that things that people come. Oh, here they go, start coming on. Brian Stewart, nice to see you, and Linda Sheehan, and others coming on right now. So again, we're talking blue skies for clown op. Question mark, right? Is that right? Or what else was it in? What could have all those blue skies and that transformer going out or whatever was happening? And we're going to dig into that here shortly. This is the Blessed to Teach show on December 28th. I'm Rick, your host. Let's get into this a little bit. We got Deborah from Virginia, and we got Brian from Texas, and Linda from Iowa, and Sarah from Idaho. All right, that's where I was born. I was born up in Pocatello. Tanya from Kansas, and a bunch of other people starting to roll in here as well. So let's get into this. The crazy blue sky we're going to be talking about here, etc. Okay, if you go look at this, and actually look at this is Sean Corticon, and he had a video here that he played, so I'm going to play this for you.
Me a pessimist, but it's my sense that it's not supposed to look like that in the night sky under any circumstances. Unless those are the northern lights. I don't think those are the northern lights.
Pretty wild, huh? So I'm going to show you some other views of that here in a second. If you actually go to QAnon.pub or QMap.pub, I'm actually on QMap.com, and you look at blue skies, you search on blue skies, and then I like to go Control F again and type like blue, and then I go backwards to find the first time he talked about blue, and you'll see it says he's talking about the blue wave here. This was basically on May 7th. And then the next time we hear it, he talks about blue skies. Here it is. See how fast that is defined if you actually understand what you're searching for? It was 1948. It was on August 28th. The shady history of Iran deal and players involved. And it goes over all the Iran deal, etc. And when you get down here, it talks about open source push to create counter defense purpose. Blue skies for clown op. When was the joint plan of action, the Iran deal, executed? Late 2013 was the answer to there, and so we'll dig into that as we move forward here. But you can see it's quite a bit of things going on here as far as the blue skies. So I'll get into that in a second. I want to talk about the sponsor for this show, though, before we get into it, as a pre-roll they would call it, and that is Rick's Natural Oil. You probably heard that the Farm Bill was passed, and it actually allows hemp to be legal in all 50 states, which is a real exciting time. And so please join me in trying this if you guys want to try a natural view versus believing in big pharma. So if you don't believe in big pharma, you want to try some other things for different things, try this. It's got natural blueberry, strawberry. There's tons of testimonials on here you can see about what different people are using it. Just go look at the comments the last 3 or 4 days since I've been talking about this. People talk about how this oil has helped their cats. We're giving it to our cat right now with kidney problems. Also a ton of people talking about it with different types of pets, as well as getting into that's not supposed to be closing on me. Hey, but anyway, the whole fact is that this is a way to look at health, because these plants actually absorb like 100% of their nutrients, unlike other plants, which is an amazing thing to do if you really look at that. I know somebody's talking about the flu shot is bad. Exactly right. So as far as big pharma goes, etc., if you don't trust them, try some of this natural oil. You can get all kinds of different types. There's also different, and you can actually get a hemp oil off at a huge percentage off. If you use Blessed 20, you actually get a 20% off discount as well. So try it. Rick's ricksnaturaloil.com. ricksnaturaloil.com if you want to get a 75% discount plus a 20% discount if you use Bless20 as you're checking out, depending on what type of things you order. There's also a chat window here you can use to get your questions answered, as well as an 800 number if you want to get more detail about what to do. Checking in from South Carolina. Thank you, Roger Sloan. Appreciate that. And so let's dig into what this red, this blue outing could be. This is the best view I found of it yet. And I'm not going to show that to you right now because it kind of maybe kills some of the intrigue. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But here's here's somebody saying, "Hey, babe, it's just a transformer fire lit in the New York City sky, airy blue." And if you look at some of this, and CenturyLink says that they are continuing to deal with a network event. Some progress has been made, but the company says they are still working on resolving further issues. I think you know this took down 911 type communication, which is a pretty darn big deal, right? So somebody saying hello from Oregon and on live from Facebook. I appreciate that. And somebody from Virginia on Facebook. So we got the Facebook crowd coming in as well. A Periscope person I see coming in from New Zealand. So that's the cool thing about this new technology I'm using that actually allows us to, and with a very good connection now, I've got a wired connection. I just bought a bunch of new equipment. I'm actually upgrading from 50 megabytes down to 150 up and 150 down with the FiOS I have. So I'm doing everything I can to make sure that what happened yesterday, where we're about split up into 3 segments, and obviously using Virtual Shield to hide my IP address. So might have to get a new router, might have to get a new IP address if we're getting attacked here, but we'll see how this broadcast goes. But right now it's looking real good where we've got people from all different types of platforms coming in, which is quite exciting. Okay, here we go on, if you look at this actual event, I don't think it's that mysterious. It was odd that it was blue, but if you look at this is where, and I'll put the link into the show notes again. I think the show notes I'm going to be going up tonight. Finally, the new website's back up, should be fixed completely this weekend. Here you can see it's not very blue, but this is the closest view I've seen where it actually shows the transformer. You can see some of the power lines there, and it's not blue yet, but a little bit later you'll see it starts turning blue. There you go, you get the blue effect. Go a little bit further. Again, there's the full blue that everybody was seeing, and this continues to be this blue effect. It even gets more blue as it gets a little darker. There you can see that right there. So again, this is 1 minute and 22 seconds into this person taking the video. And this is where the blue really went on fire when it got a little bit darker. It must have been at dusk, I would guess. And you can see how this can continue to go for a couple minutes. But what I wanted to show you is at the end, it's almost like somebody shut off a switch. So this is at 2:26. About 2:48 is when all of a sudden it just turns off. And so there's 2:36. About 10 seconds you'll see the blue's going to go off, and then it's going to just shut off. You see that happen? I'm going to take that back again to show you that. So again, so you can see this time right here, 2:38. So in 10 seconds, it's going to, all of a sudden, the blue goes away, and all of a sudden it just turns off. So there goes. And you see that? Isn't that bizarre? So it wasn't some alien thing with blue lights. It wasn't some type of false flag event. Now, could have it been some mischievous things going on? Potentially, right? And that's what I want to dig in with you. This is the biggest theory I saw. I don't know if I necessarily agree to it, but this 40 head, who's been really good at some of these things on Twitter, has a full 35 tweet analysis of this, and I thought I'd review that because I thought it was the best one I saw. A lot of people saying good evening, a lot more people coming on. Appreciate that. Good evening, Raven from Periscope as well. So we got people from all the platforms on right now except for Twitch, which I only have 2 followers right now, but I decided it was free to do that, so I started to try Twitch as well. Here goes. 1. This says U.S. detains this Chinese telecom company, Huawei, right? CFO in Canada arrests Chinese intelligence officer Yanun Zhu in Belgium and extradites to the U.S. China hits U.S. intel providers. Google China Dragonfly op fails after POTUS interference. China attack on CenturyLink 911 services, possibly DoD dark fiber services. with a big question mark there, right? So that's what so this theory is how's China involved in all this? Number 2, everything connected. You won't believe these contradictions. It says Q drops confirmed, 9/11 outage. And here you go, number 3, Indonesia Anti-Corruption Agency said on Thursday it had raided 10 locations, including the home of Deputy Chairman of the Lipo Group, as part of the bribery investigation linked to the conglomerates U.S. $21 billion Mercata real estate project. And there's a link here for the article if you want to dig into that. But then it goes to number 4, also from the article, billed as the Shenzhen of Indonesia, which is the Chinese tech city. After the booming Chinese city, Mercata is Lipo's largest project to date. The raids targeted the home of Lipo Group Deputy Chairman James Rady, a Lipo Group. And then it says 5, did the thread on Lipo Group and James Rady a few months ago. Interestingly enough, Twitter deleted it. It also started getting hit with hundreds of spam emails every day for over a week after posting it. I'm going to try to show again the massive connections here. Number 6, he says the first things first, Q drop. And he's looking at that Q drop and he says, we have learned that HRC did not simply have a massive email server in her basement. It had government emails, files, other classified information on it, and it was not hacked. She gave them the information to China, right? And if you actually click on this Q map, you'll see it'll take us to the old Q map here. Here's the 1959 that he's talking about. And he gets into the details. Clowns revealed in China other 2010 187 sold Intel HRC open server, missing emails, CrowdStrike, granted access, betrayed, only the tip. This will be made public soon, Q. And that was back in February. And then he amplifies on it here, obviously, in August 28th. It says China was granted access to Hillary servers via CrowdStrike. And this and it says trending non-MSM. China hacked HRC server? False. Access was granted. You have more than you know. Q. All right. So that's pretty wild, isn't it? And I'm going to close that down so we keep things organized here. 7, HRC got agents arrested, probably forever, and several killed by purposefully allowing China's intrusions into U.S. intelligence. This was a move to earn favor or to pay debt. Most likely a continuing relationship, but with who and why? What could she gain from China? And 8 says, how about the 50-plus-year-old Clinton-Rady relationship? What's the deal with the Clintons, the Clinton Foundation, and James Rady's Lipo Group? Well, in the past, I've shown a 50-year-old relationship between the Luciferian Bush family and the House of Saudi in Saudi Arabia. And number 9 says the Bushes have Saudi, the Clinton have China. I wonder if the libtard deep state media remembers what they've documented in the past. You must read the article seriously. It contains tons of Rady-Clinton relationships. A must read. So this is a Washington Post article talking about the whole James Rady and the Clinton relationship in detail, if you want to go dig into that. Number 10 says James Rady is a billionaire from Indonesia, China. He co-owns the Lipo Group, which if you investigate far enough, you'll find has several subsidiaries that are all directly controlled by the Chinese government. In the late 70s, Rady bought a bank in Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock, can you believe that? Number 11, he was only able to buy that bank as a Chinese national with permission from the Arkansas governor, William Jefferson Clinton. The two became pals, had regular interaction. By the way, should be noted that around 1978, the year George H.W. Bush was director of the CIA. Looks like this. I thought I set this to where it wouldn't bring those pictures up, but it's still putting my background messing up. Sorry about that. I'll get that fixed next time. I'm adjusting everything. You can tell I've changed my whole studio around, so I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of leeway as I get everything figured out. I'm now blasting out to 4 different platforms simultaneously. Eventually, I'll get this to go to 3 different YouTube channels, just so it makes it really hard for them to kick me off. They'd have to figure out all 3 channels and do it manually versus electronically, right? So here we go. 12, don't forget G.H.W. Bush was the liaison to China for 2 years before he was given the post at the company. When BC, Bill Clinton, was running for POTUS in 1996, Rady illegally donated $3.5 million to Bill Clinton's presidential campaign, as well as several other Democrat races. And here's a big article about that. President Ford appoints George H.W. Bush as the successor here. Number 13, Rady was charged, convicted, fined $8 million, and banned from re-entering the United States for a period of time. Attorney General Janet Reno somehow pleaded guilty on his behalf, since he was back in China and managed to help him avoid jail time. Bill Clinton was never charged. How? 14. Somehow, while HRC was Secretary of State, Mr. Rady came back to the U.S. on a waiver from the State Department to circumvent his re-entry ban. He had numerous meetings too. He specifically wanted plans to certain weapons for the Chinese military. He also made business deals. How? 15. He was not allowed to do business in the U.S. due to the ban. When Rady came back to the U.S. to visit, his permission slip permitted visits for family functions like graduation, etc. Yet when he was here, he attended high-powered meetings with Bill Clinton, HRC, and Barack Hussein Obama. 16. 3. Lipo China subsidiary directly invested in CS Mining. DXS and PacNet invested funds for the 2011 transaction. A third subsidiary, Waterloo Street Limited, secretly bought in the British Virgin Islands and has no ... board of directors, according to the Bloomberg. In fact, Lipo China Resources had created 54 different subsidiaries in the British Virgin Islands, according to the annual report. Rady performed business transactions in the U.S. despite being banned. Exposed. Another Clinton money scandal. And you go look at this whole Political Insider article if you'd like to. Number 18 says, so the Clintons are in tight with Rady. He's dirty. Rady's in tight with certain Chinese officials who are also dirty. But do you remember the AIDS medication debacle with the Clinton Foundation? The foundation earned millions through fraud with a lipo-controlled pharmacy group. Surprise, surprise, huh? 19. Former President Clinton and his Clinton Health Access Initiative distributed watered-down HIV/AIDS drugs to patients in Sub-Saharan Africa and likely increased the risk of morbidity and mortality. They killed people through fraud. Scary stuff. And here's a whole article on the Daily Caller exclusive. Clinton Foundation AIDS program distributed watered-down drugs. Disturbing and very sad. If you look at number 20, it says the pharmacy group Ranbaxy ultimately pleaded guilty in 2013 to 7 criminal counts with intent to defraud and the introduction of unadulterated drugs into interstate commerce. So how does Ranbaxy get away with it? But the Bill Clinton and the foundation get off scot-free? How? 21, stage left. Enter DJT, greatest presidency in a century. Agenda, destroy the deep state and all of its affiliations. HRC and B. Clinton directly hit. Financials dried up and resources frozen. Rady and Lipo nailed with anti-corruption arrests, lawsuits, charges, and fines. Changing the story here. 22. Remember, Lipo has direct ties and even some oversight on some of its subsidiaries by the Chinese government itself, or at least by some of its officials. Retaliation and mere survival becomes their goals. Google enters the scene. One deep state agent trying to save another. 23. Certain facts have made their way to the surface. One fact is that Dianne Feinstein from, is he calling it California instead of California, it's California, has had a Chinese spy on her staff for the past 20 years. What kind of kickbacks has she received for that treasonous BS? There's a whole WashingtonOpinion.com explanation here. You can see it. The mole on her staff could have meant a field day for Chinese intelligence. FBI, CIA equals crickets. Here we are on 24. QDrop, QMAP, read 2380 gave some crumbs that led to deals that the company responsible for the espionage and attacks on the U.S. software electronics industry is owned by in China with headquarters there. A major U.S. telecommunication company discovered and manipulated ... and here it is right here, 2380. If we look at this was way back in October 9th, and an anon on Bake on September 27th had talked about all these Chinese plates, right? It said license plate matches the Chinese plate for Guangdong province, top right, check the symbol, and it says that all equals the same as that real pop city. It's almost like the Silicon Valley, the Shenzhen. It says, do you believe in coincidences? Q. All right, and that's what he's talking about. Both in the same province that where Feinstein's, and this is where Feinstein's car was driving to, right? Obviously, she's part of the whole shebang there when it's talking about. And here it says, and that was 2380. I want to make sure we had the right one because that was 2380. That's what they wanted us to see. 25. Hardware from Super Micro Computer Incorporated in its network and removed it in August. Fresh evidence of tampering in China of critical technology components bound for the U.S. Supermicro is a San Jose, again, California, talking about California, Feinstein stomping grounds. New evidence of hacked Supermicro hardware found in U.S. telecom. The discovery shows that China continues to sabotage critical technology components bound for America. And 26 says, but how, in all of this tied together, why are certain Chinese actors spying on the U.S. while the main government is working well with DJT, Donald J. Trump, making incredible deals in trade and policy agreements? Because there's deep state tied in. Look at who's making ZTE phones. 27, Jakarta, Indonesia. A conglomerate, a Lippo Group, on Thursday introduced the country's first 4G smartphone in a partnership with Chinese device makers ZTE. Wow, look at that. One of the companies Donald J. Trump is considering borrowing from the U.S. is ZTE. And this is that Asian-focused English language publication that brings you insights about business, finance. This talking about this, and it talks about this whole Indonesian conglomerate, the Lippo Group that we've just been talking about here. Number 28 says, so the spying and attacks are coming from phones made by the same people who have been in a criminal dynasty with the Clintons for 50 years. It doesn't end there. Lippo and Rady are financing intel groups tied to Huawei's as well. This Huawei is the China telecom company. And would you look at that? No sound, somebody's telling. Oh, geez, here goes my internet issues again. Bummer, guys. Looks like I'm going to have to split this into two again each time this happens. Appreciate you guys letting me know this. Every time I do this, it just helps if I just restart. So I'm going to be restarting here in just a second as I figure out my internet problems.